can't claim to be Temple tough if you can't take a hit in the mouth and turn around the next day, get up and get back in the fight.
The Green Wave surf into a win over the Owls in another lopsided affair.
Meanwhile, another Parliament of Owls from Florida will be heading up our way for a Saturday matchup at the Link.
And I'm Jackson Batchelor, live outside of Edward Golson Hall. Pick your poison, offense or defense. Both sides of the ball struggled, and the Owls lost against Tulane. We'll focus on the offense side of the ball this time around.
And I'm Kayla Vine, live from the studio set. Later in the show, I'll highlight two standout players who shined in Week 11 in the AAC. Inside the Nest is live, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome into Inside the Nest. Alongside Hayden Bandel, I'm Sam Cavone. Temple is coming back home after a season-long 28-day road trip, one that did not result in any wins.
Temple still stands with the longest road losing streak in all of Division I football, with 19 consecutive losses away from Lincoln Financial Field. It was another tough road test for the Owls, who traveled to New Orleans for homecoming weekend at Tulane. This was the first meeting between the two programs since the COVID-shortened season. Temple came into Saturday with an all-time 2-1 record at Yeoman Stadium. So history has been kind to the Owls, but the present day, not so much. Homecoming crowd on Saturday afternoon in NOLA, and the party got started early. Mekhi Hughes, the fourth leading rusher in the nation, with his 12th rushing touchdown of the season on the first drive. 7-0 Tulane. And actually, this isn't even game highlights. This is Mekhi Hughes highlights. He jets up the middle and gains a huge 45-yard run. Yes, pun intended. And guess what? He's not done just yet. His second touchdown of the day, 13th rushing of the season, and the grass is all but green for Tulane. 28-zip before the half. A Hail Mary attempt right at the end of the first half. Darian Mensa's pass is going to be caught, except it's Jamel Johnson. A lot of talking for the cornerback right at the end of the first half, down by 4 scores.
28-0, and this is where things get ugly. Mensa connects with Mario Williams, who shuffles around and runs out of bounds. Keeping the drive alive is Arnold Barnes III. He finds room right on the edge for yet another Green Wave touchdown to bring the score 35-0. Still trailing by 52, Temple finally gets the ball back, and Therese Worthy runs it 75 yards right into the house on the first drive. The game is already out of reach. Temple goes for a 2-point conversion and does not get it. Temple unable to come up with any more effective offensive plays. Simon tries to convert on 4th down, targeting John Adams, but the play and Temple's hope of a road win and in a blowout loss. The Owls leave on the wrong end, 52-6.
What an absolute whooping. The worst offensive showing of the season under offensive coordinator Danny Langsdorff. Evan Simon, season low, 56 passing yards. The least by an Owl quarterback in over a decade. Temple had just one drive go more than 4 plays long. That resulted in a punt, just like most of the results in the afternoon. 11 punts, 8 of those were 3-and-outs, and 1 turnover on down. Everett Withers' defense, same story. 589 total yards allowed. Mekhi Hughes did whatever he wanted, over 8 yards per carry to go along with a pair of touchdowns. It was a rough one, start to finish.
I knew this was a very good football team. I mean, they've invested in some players. So, yeah, you could tell they're physically very, very strong, functionally very, very strong. We had a hard time tackling them. We had our guys around the football at times. And, we got to make plays. I'm not going to sit here and sound like I'm making excuses here. But, no, we were outmatched in a lot of spots, and we just got to find a way to play better to equalize that. So they played better than us. It's one thing when you're playing against a team that is, bigger than you, stronger than you, but they played better. They executed better than we did as well. So, yeah, that was the case. We definitely lost the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Wasn't even close. Yeah, they played bad today. There's no question about it. You know, that we need to be elevating our development on these guys, and you know, it's not showing up right now. So that's exactly right. Yeah. We had an opportunity. We got a little anxious, and you know, he jumped off sides, and just got to be better. Got to be way more disciplined than that. Well, you know, the one thing I can say is that, you know, as bad as it looked, you know, I have to really look hard at the film to see if there's anybody quitting, you know, and that kid did not quit. You know, it was well blocked, and, you know, he was able to be explosive on the edge, and that's what we're trying to do with that kid, is to try to get him in space, and, you know, that's where he's very dynamic, and, you know, he showed off his speed. It was good to see.
Hayden, Stan Drayton said something this week that I don't think we've heard him say ever. He specifically said, this team played bad today. I don't think we've ever heard him say bad at all.
Yeah, and they did play bad, but also you have to look at the other side of the field, right? This is a Tulane team that is a lot more, not just better, they're more talented than Temple. They're bigger, they're stronger than them. They could do whatever they want with the will that they had, and they just had it. They're a better team overall.
They are a better team overall, and it just goes to show, even when Temple couldn't even make a field goal and got a touchdown that wasn't even in the red zone, but also it goes to show, why was Evan Simon playing that late into the game when the game is just that out of reach?
Yeah, I don't think you have anything to lose putting Evan Simon in there. I know he got hurt earlier in the season, some questions about that looming over that, but at this point in the season, Temple has nothing to lose. They're not playing for an ASC championship. They're not even playing for a bowl at this point.
You know, you never know, but hopefully he doesn't get injured with that. But we've talked about the offensive struggles, and it's no secret that Temple has struggled a lot on offense this season, even more so in the first quarter when it comes to putting up points.
Inside the Nest beat reporter Jackson Batchelor is live outside of Edinburgh Golson Hall with the story. Hey, Jackson.
Guys, through 11 weeks of play, the Owls have yet to find an identity on the offensive side of the ball. After putting up 400 yards of total offense in their previous matchup against East Carolina, the Owls failed to even put up 200 yards against Tulane.
Simon slipped.
The Owls proved on Saturday just how far they are from the top of the AAC, and their offensive struggles stood out. Evan Simon and company just couldn't move the ball. 14 drives and just 5 first downs. In fact, Temple was just 1 for 13 on third down conversions.
Did not get it.
You know, we got to make plays. You know, I'm not going to sit here and sound like I'm making excuses here, but no, we were outmatched in a lot of spots, and we just got to find a way to play better to equalize that. So,
the Owls' offensive woes can be attributed to a young offensive line unit that allowed 6 sacks and never got the run game going, with the exception of a late touchdown run.
They played bad today. There's no question about it. You know, that we need to be elevating our development on these guys, and you know, it's not showing up right now.
Temple did have some chances to put points on the board early, but a false start took 6 points off the board in the first quarter.
You know, we had an opportunity. We got a little anxious, and you know, he jumped off sides, and just got to be better. Got to be way more disciplined than that.
The inconsistency of this Temple offense has been on display all season long. But against Tulane, Temple scored its lowest point total since week 1 in that loss at Oklahoma. With 7 first-half drives resulting in 0 points and just 66 yards of total offense, the Owls need to set the tone early and find ways to get in the end zone in their final 3 games of the 2024 season. Reporting outside of Edinburgh Golson Hall, I'm Jackson Batchelor. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Jackson. There were no good takeaways in that loss, as you highlighted, so Sam and I wanted to take a look into some of those first-half follies.
We picked plays that just did not go as planned on both sides of the ball, and we'll start with my play. This is going to result in a sack on Evan Simon for a loss of 8 yards. It turns a second and manageable situation into a third and long situation. You can see Evan Simon just had no help from his O-line and just goes down. We're going to slow it down around this point, and you'll just see that there's going to be a huge hole that opens up that just allows Adonis Freelu to get to Evan Simon. Then 2 other defenders are able to get there as well, just getting around the offensive lineman. No help for Evan Simon once again.
Now here's my play. This is a defensive blunder. Watch these two close receivers. You can play it here. Shaz Preston and Bryce Bohannon. They're just going to go straight up the middle. And Darian Mensah is going to find Preston, makes the catch. But look, watch Javier Moore. He falls to the ground. We're going to watch it again one more time in slow motion just to see how that happened. Because I'm not even sure, Sam, if Bryce Bohannon was making the right route, because they should not be in the middle of the field together at the same time. But we're going to see it again as Bohannon and both Shaz Preston are in motion. They go down the field. Pass is caught, but now look, Javier Moore basically gets screened. Andreas Keaton does as well by Bohannon, and Shaz, just like that, makes a little jazz happen. 53-yard score. Does a little dancing going as well. Temple probably wanted to call a timeout after that, so it's time for us now to take a timeout.
When we come back, we'll dive into Coach Drayton's Monday news conference. The frustration is there at Temp and Diamond. Stick around. Inside the Nest, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside the Nest. Coach Stan Drayton held his weekly news conference on Monday. The biggest topic of discussion wasn't really the loss to Tulane or the upcoming game against FAU. This week, the discussion centered on the program's competitive disadvantage, NIL, and how it has impacted Temple's football program.
It's time to level up, and if NIL got that program looking the way it is from 2 years ago, only winning what, 1 or 2 games? What is that right? You know, if that can do that to that program, it can do that to this program. But you know, people have to be real about it, and you know, I've been very, very quiet, you know, and I've been very reserved in talking about it. You know, because I don't want it to sound like excuses, right? You know, when you're not having a whole lot of success on the football field, the words that come out of your mouth, people are paying attention to it. Like, is he going to make an excuse for this and this and that? You know, no, I'm not that kind of person, you know, but what I am is I'm a realist. I'm a realist, and this ain't going away, all right? And we need to be in conversation. We need to do something about it. We need to be creative. But we definitely need to level our thought process up and think forward and get into this game, because this place deserves it. We can be competitive if we do it right. NIL collectives and, you know, portal are going to provide opportunity for those kids to go find an opportunity to have success on the football field, a good experience on the football field. Then why shouldn't Temple be available for them? I mean, we got a great education. We sit in the perfect spot. You know, we have direct flights in and out of Philadelphia every single day. You know, we have, you know, a unbelievable venue that we play in the Eagle Stadium. We have it all. You know, we just need that one little piece to help us get over the hump, and that's it. This place can blow up.
This place can blow up. It definitely can.
It
Stan
can.
Drayton is 100% right?
He is.
You look at Temple and the opportunity that you have to network, as whether it's a student or a student athlete, you can network yourself anywhere in a top 5 market.
You can do so much here that most schools don't have the opportunity to do.
Yeah, especially from the football perspective, where how many schools can say you can go play in an NFL stadium every week? And you want to talk about the crowd? Well, the crowd will come if the winning is there.
Yes.
And the winning is not there. The one piece that is missing, Sam, is the money, right?
Yeah.
The NIL funds are simply not there. Temple is behind the 8 ball on it. They've been it from the jump, and it's already too late to go back to it.
It's a tricky situation because, you know, you need the players to get the money. You need the wins to get the money. But you need to play better in order to get the money, and playing better doesn't come if you don't have these great players and you don't have the recruiting, and players are transferring after, you know, coming here because they're not getting the NIL money that they want, and that's the sad, unfortunate reality of NIL now.
I don't think it's on the players. I think it's on the alumni, on the former people and students and athletes that have won here that are now professionals and whatever it is that they're doing. But you also look at it now where college football is. This is free agency every single year. And Stan Drayton yesterday on his Monday press conference referred to it as NFL free agency. I think it's more MLB free agency, right? There's no hard cap where you can spend the however amount of money that you want to spend. They can do that. Temple doesn't have a lot of those resources, so they can't do
and
that.
I think Stan Drayton can't tiptoe around this anymore. He said he was tiptoeing around it, but when you do that, other sports are struggling. Other sports in this university are struggling. Everyone's going through the same thing. So bringing it to the surface, showing like, hey, maybe we can do more if I speak out or if this coach speaks out. It will do a lot of good.
Yeah, if Temple doesn't want to invest in their programs, then they shouldn't want to have them, quite simply put.
Exactly, and maybe we'll see what happens. But, unfortunately, it is break time. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at the other Owls, the ones from Florida that will be making the trip up north this week.
Yes, it is the FAU Owls, believe it or not. Those FAU Owls are struggling more than the Temple Owls. Stick around.
Welcome back. FAU took a trip to Greenville, North Carolina for a matchup with ECU. The FAU Owls were looking for their first conference win of the season. FAU Owls trying to knock off the ECU Pirates, who had previously defeated the Owls in their last 3 meetings. Kaiten Hauser goes deep and connects with Chase Sowell for a touchdown and an early lead on the second play of the drive. Then Hauser yet again with the deep ball. This time it is to Winston Wright Jr., who is wide open and able to get into the end zone easily. The Pirates extend their lead to 14-0. Kason Wiseman gets his team down to the 2-yard line and finds Jabari Smith Jr. to get the Owls on the board. Second half, and ECU is up 35-7, and Hauser adds some more insurance. Anthony Smith with the 46-yard reception and the TD. With a minute left in the game, Wiseman passes to C.J. Campbell Jr. for the score, but it's too little too late. ECU comes out victorious with a dominant 49-14 win.
Cam Fencher, the starting quarterback for FAU, took a big hit and was carted off the field and is out for the season with a broken clavicle in the throwing arm. Kason Wiseman came in and threw 2 touchdowns with 1 pick. Wiseman did deal with some ankle soreness, but is looking to make his first collegiate start against Temple on Saturday. The defense wasn't a bright spot for the Owls either. 581 yards allowed. It'll be a reunion on Saturday for the 2 head coaches, Tom Herman and Stan Drayton. Drayton was the associate head coach and running back coach at Texas when Herman was the head coach. After the game, Herman got rid of his defensive coordinator Rock Bellantoni and O-line coach Ed Warner. The Temple Owls and the FAU Owls were outscored on Saturday 101-20. So, what to make of the guys from Florida?
We spoke to Frank Forte. He hosts a show that sounds a lot like ours. Our show is Inside the Nest.
Copying us a little bit.
Inside the Owls Burrow. I like ours better. Anyway, we started by asking him what FAU has to do in order to get its first road win of the season.
Well, first and foremost, they have to, I think for this team, it all starts in the run game. I don't think they're talented enough to just make big plays on the outside with the receivers. Their run game has to set up their pass game. And on the other side of it, they've done a poor job for the most part stopping the run. And as a result, other teams have been able to hit deep balls on them. So I think it all starts on both sides of the ball with the run game. They've got to run the ball effectively. And the games they have, they've generally had success and stop the run game.
And then when it comes to these players on this team, are there any key players that Temple needs to watch out for, scout out for just ahead of this game?
Yeah, again, C.J. Campbell and Omari Hayes on offense are the biggest weapons. Again, our starting quarterback, Cam Fancher, broke his clavicle last weekend on what I think most people would say was a late hit against ECU. So Kason Wiseman, who's a redshirt freshman, he's going to start the game. He was actually pretty effective against East Carolina, 20 out of 35, and he led 4 long drives, only 2 of which resulted in touchdowns. This team does have a little bit of an issue when they get to the red zone. They've been able to move the ball lately between the 20s, but finishing off drives is the thing. That's something to watch for on Saturday as well. So Wiseman's going to be – it's his team right now, and he responded pretty well last week. We'll see how he responds when he's the guy taking the first snap.
Things are there are a lot of things to clean up this week. Basically everything that Temple has to do. So we're going to see who is the more superior Owl.
We're digging deep into our playbook and pulling out some old plays because it's time for Routes to Success. Route number 1, we're back to eye discipline. How many times have we talked about it this season? Blown blocks and tackles seem to be consistent on both sides of the ball, something that leads to touchdowns, turnovers, and sacks. Temple needs to lock in, especially against a team that is not great at running the ball.
prevent any movement for the FAU Owls from the ground. Kason Wiseman is going to be making his first career start. If you can stop them running, then the defense should have a pretty good day. And it's a good thing Owls don't run, they only fly.
Route number 3, Temple's defense needs to get off the field after third downs. Tulane only punted 3 times and converted 9 of 13 third downs against Temple on Saturday. If Temple can shut down any offensive momentum that FAU puts up, then it puts the Owls in a better position to get the ball back quicker and potentially put points on the board.
This game is going to be won in the trenches. Both FAU and Temple are bottom 10 in the FBS in rushing yards allowed. If Temple can get its rushing attack moving, they can soar over the other Owls. Last week when we asked you, the viewers, for your Tulane Temple pick, you were neck and neck in our Twitter poll. What does that mean? That many of you voted with your heart instead of your head. Now you have another chance this Saturday to redeem yourself. And let me tell you guys, I am tied in a knot with who I'm going to pick to win in this week's game. So you know what? I'm just going to take the Owls. I'm kidding. I'm going to take the Temple Owls to win 27-24. Temple has in all its conference games where their opponents are over 500, they have beat them, or they have lost to them, but the one team that they beat was Tulsa, who was under. FAU is not only winless in conference play, but also winless on the road. Ain't that familiar, guys?
You know, I also had a hard time picking a winner for this game, but ultimately I have to go with the Temple Owls 20-17. This is an FAU team that will be without their starting QB and just got rid of 2 coaches over the last 3 days. This team has a tendency to struggle when it comes to big plays, so I see Temple exploiting FAU's weaknesses and walking out with the W. Jackson, what are you thinking?
Well, Sam, great minds think alike because I'm also going Temple 20, FAU 17. FAU, they've really struggled defensively this year. They allow 435 yards per game as well as 32 points per game. And while Temple, it's their first time back at home in almost a month, so they should be able to set the tone, come back and play at home and win this game. So I'm going the Owls by a pretty short margin. Kayla, who do you got?
Guys, I'm also going with the Owls this week. Even though the Owls had a hard loss versus Tulane last week, I do see the Owls defeating FAU 21-14. FAU does not have a conference win so far this season. Sitting at 0-5, the FAU Owls have given up almost every single one of their opponents score 40 more points in a game. If Temple can capitalize on those defensive mistakes, I do see Evan Simon and company taking their second conference win on Saturday. But you can catch Saturday's game live on ESPN Plus at 2 p.m. as the Owls play at Lincoln Financial Field taking on the FAU Owls in conference matchup. We will also have live updates on X from all our social media platforms at Owl Sports Update.
We are up against our last break. When we come back, we'll hear more from Kayla Levine as we look into some players who have been stepping up this year.
We're going cup is half full. Stay where you are. Inside the Nest will return in 90 seconds.
Welcome back. 2 standout players in the AAC have been making headlines and helping their teams stay in the top half of the league standings. Starting off with East Carolina's quarterback, sophomore Katin Hauser, who was named AAC Player of the Week. Hauser went 17 for 22 and threw for 343 passing yards. The quarterback had a total of 6 touchdowns on the day, with 5 of those coming from the air. Those touchdowns play an intricate part of ECU's 49-14 win on Thursday night over the FAU Owls. Moving to the defensive side of things, Navy midshipman cornerback Deshaun Peel has 30 tackles on the season, 2 sacks, and 4 interceptions. Peel is part of a Navy team that has played very well so far this season, making their way into the college football's 25 rankings last month. These 2 players will continue on with their seasons, hoping to keep this standout playmaking moving into this weekend's games. That's all I have from the studio set. I'm Kayla Levine. Sam and Hayden, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Kayla. We are all out of time for this week's show.
But join us next week. Have a great week.
Get in, get out.